When you book your doctor's appointment, has it occurred to you that some of the biggest factors that shape your visit often happen before you even walk through the door? In this video, I'll share a few smart, simple planning steps you can use right now to make your medical visit safer, smoother, and more effective, so you leave with answers, not frustration. We're discussing all this and more on this episode of White Coat Wisdom. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. We've got a lot of valuable information to cover today. Last video, we talked about how important it is to always be cognizant of the fact that a medical facility is a public workplace, not a home. And so whether you're in the realm of an emergency department or an urgent care, or even the doctor's office that you've been going to all your life, germs can abound everywhere. You don't know what medical diseases were in the room before you, and so it's important to always be cautious and always be aware of what objects or surfaces you or your family are coming into contact with, and what steps you need to take to protect yourself in the case of unavoidable contact with some of these surfaces. Well, in this video, we're going to take it a bit of a step further. We're going to be talking about some things you might want to consider even before you step foot into a medical office or facility. And we'll be discussing some elements of planning that you might want to add right now into your consideration for when you're making that next appointment at your doctor's office. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell. We're just getting started, and your support really helps us keep making these videos. And if you find some information to be useful, please share this video with a close friend or family member, or with someone who cares about their health as much as you do. All right, let's get on to it. So let's say your appointment time is 3 p.m., and that the office starts its day at 8 a.m. Let's also say that the office allots 15 minutes per appointment slot. That means that for a fully booked day in a single-room medical office, there would potentially be 24 families in the same room before you. And that's assuming an hour break for lunch. It would be 28 families before you if the office worked continuously through lunch period. We covered in the previous video the potential hidden dangers that could lurk around the various cracks, crevices, and floor and counter spaces of a medical exam room, or any professional medical space for that matter. That's a lot of families, and a lot of possible germs, and therefore, a lot of exposure variable. We also discussed previously that staff members are constantly turning rooms over as a medical office proceeds through its schedule of appointments for that day, while taking steps to ensure that a minimum level of adequate hygiene is maintained from patient to patient. This is good, and it's for everyone's protection. But again, the cleaning protocols are relatively cursory. I think most medical professionals would agree, for understandable reasons. Again, a thorough scrub down or even wipe down is simply not feasible during the course of a typical bustling clinic day. And really, if we get technical about it, thoroughly cleaning an exam room is not a primary role that medical assistants, MAs, or nurses are supposed to fill. MAs and nurses hold functions directed towards delivery of medical services, not cleaning services. It's not their primary job. The primary role of cleaning the office belongs to the cleaning crew that comes in at the end of each workday. The cleaning crew then gives each exam room its proper scrub down, including thoroughly wiping countertops and fixture surfaces and mopping the floors. And this then prepares the office for the next morning. So think about it. It's something that nobody ever talks about or even fathoms. It's a detail that parents rarely think about, but those first few appointment slots in the morning are when the rooms are at their most pristine condition. This is a secret that only medical people know, but relatively speaking, there is no other time that a medical office is hygienically better. Hygiene only goes downhill from there. All of this is not to say that you necessarily have to get the very first appointment for the office. This may not always be available or workable. The broader point is just that there can be a very worthwhile and real difference between the hygienic status of a medical office exam room earlier in the day versus later that same day. Keep in mind that many offices have multiple examination rooms per provider. Having more than one room for each provider makes sense from the office's perspective, as this allows for improved workflow as the provider can frictionlessly transition from one patient to the next. The second family in succession is already roomed and ready to be seen as soon as the provider has completed the visit for the first family. If an office had only a single room for its provider, then the provider would potentially need to wait idly for the following sequence to occur after each and every family before being able to proceed to the next patient on the schedule, as the lone room would be occupied for 1. The patient to receive any ordered immunizations or complete any in-office testing. 2. The patient and doctor to discuss any subsequent results for the aforementioned testing. 3. The family to pack up and exit the room. 4. The medical assistant to turn the room over for the next patient. And 5. The medical assistant to usher the next family into the room to be seen. Needing to wait for the full succession of these steps after each patient would significantly decrease time efficiency. You can imagine how much this could disrupt patient flow. To facilitate improved workflow, most medical offices will feature 2 or 3 exam rooms per provider. Keep this in mind when considering the optimal times to schedule an appointment for the purpose of this discussion. For instance, if a single provider office has 3 rooms available, a family could make an appointment for one of the first 3 slots and still theoretically receive a virginal room for that day. So, landing one of the first several morning appointment slots could be sufficiently advantageous, depending on how many exam rooms your medical office has. This kind of knowledge can be helpful when making your appointments for the doctor's office. It's worthwhile to be careful about minimizing exposure variables anytime you and your family are entering the environment of a medical workplace. Unfortunately, the control efforts discussed in this video all go out the window in the case that a person or family's foray to a medical facility is necessitated to involve an unscheduled visit, like when the medical severity or urgency is actually too high that it can't wait, and you have to go to your local emergency room or urgent care center. Sometimes trips to these acute care facilities are unavoidable. For instance, if the threat of injury or overwhelming disease is ever just that high, and so therefore the risk for some serious medical morbidity is just that great that medical attention cannot be delayed, these are situations where the medical issue needs to be addressed as soon as possible. God forbid, if a circumstance as grave or as dire as this should ever occur, dial 911 or head straight to your nearest emergency room. Remember, everyone, time is of the essence during a medical emergency or urgency. If you found this episode helpful, check out our other videos packed with real-world clinical insights. And if you haven't already, click here to check out our previous video that covers all the potential hidden dangers of a medical office that you should be trying to avoid. We're board-certified medical providers with over 30 years of combined experience, sharing the pearls, caveats, and hard-won lessons that only come from caring for real people, not just studying the books. Thanks for joining us here at White Coat Wisdom, where clinical experience meets everyday life. If you found today's insights helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who cares about their health as much as you do. Your support helps us keep bringing trusted, real-world medical guidance straight to you. See you in the next one. Until next time, everyone stay safe and stay healthy.